Welcome back to my training series on memoir mindset to get you prepped and set for a first and successful final and every draft of your memoir, basically to prepare you for success. I'm Louisa DC and I've published 2 memoirs traditionally, which you can see behind me on the both framed behind me. So in this video, I just really want to explore something that's going to sideswipe you, to put it mildly, when you're working on your memoir first or final draft, or perhaps it might come when you're in the proposal process. And the reason I want to share this with you is because if you're warned and if you know that it's coming and you know how to behave, you will be more likely to succeed despite this coming towards you. And the funniest thing about this problem is that everyone who goes through it, every single writer I know, every time I've gone through it, I've thought it's the worst thing in the world. I'm never going to get over it. I'll never, get published. I'll never be able to finish the book. Everyone I know that goes through this process has that feeling. It just feels terrible, basically. And I gave the wacky metaphor in the last video about, my friend telling me to walk on the right side of the road and look over my shoulder on the right side when I got to LA because he didn't want me to get hit by a bus. And so what I want to tell you in this video is how to not get hit by that bus. The bus is still going to be there, but you're not going to be totally flattened. So what I'm talking about is the messy middle. Now this can come at different times for every writer. For me, it came at different times in the process. So with A Letter from Paris, it came, I had absolute joy drafting that book. I don't know why. It was a travel memoir. It wasn't, a grueling family memoir like A Letter from Paris. But so I wrote the first draft really quickly. I redrafted it, but I didn't really structurally redraft it. And I was just so excited, I pitched it to a publisher. And very quickly I got some quite harsh feedback. And I was so shocked, and it came so out of the blue, and I really respected this person's advice so much that I was just deeply ashamed of my book and never wanted to look at it again. And just thought, oh my God, I am insane for even thinking that anyone would ever publish this. All the confidence that had got me through the first and second drafts, and that had not even confidence, but sort of, motivation to get me working on this book. I think it had been 9 months by then. No, a year. I was flattened and I felt terrible and I never wanted to look at the book again. So that's when my horrendous bus came. And I'll tell you how I got over that. But for A Letter from Paris, it came at a different time. The funny thing is, and it'll come at a different time for you. It might even come during the publication process for you. But so during A Letter from Paris, I was drafting that book again quite quickly, but it was very grueling. It was intense. It's a family memoir. And I was exploring my memories, and some of them quite traumatic, and family stories and all that sort of thing. And memoir is so personal that, of course, it's going to be grueling if you're doing it right. So I was working on the second act. So I was about halfway through the first draft. I'd been working on it for 2 months at that point. And I woke up one morning and I couldn't get out of bed. And I just felt terrible. I was sick. I had some kind of laryngitis. I had the flu. And it was just miserable. And I was trying to figure out, what I'd been working on before that happened, because I thought maybe some part of that had to do with it. And sure enough, I'd been working on the second act, which is just obstacle. This is in traditional story structure. Obstacle after obstacle after obstacle. And it had worn me down, just exploring these obstacles in intense detail and not seeing the end, not seeing the resolution of the story. Even though I had my focus sentence, I was just like swamped with all these obstacles. And so my body needed a break and my mind needed a break. And I think it just gave me that sickness so I could have a little bit of a break to integrate all of that. But the thing that I did, which I also did with Love and Other U-Turns, and which is why this didn't flatten me, is I picked it up again. I let myself have a little break, and it was the same with Love and Other U-Turns when I had that really harsh feedback. I had a break. I took care of myself. I got some outside perspective. I went for some walks. I spoke to a couple of writer friends who had been through a similar process, and I got back on the horse, metaphorically, and well, I got back into the computer and started redrafting. So the thing is, everyone goes through it, and that's what you've got to know is everyone has that moment in their writing journey where they think that this is the end, that's actually a ridiculous idea. They want to put the book away and never ever look at it again. They think it's just taking too much of a toll psychologically. Don't give up. You know, you decided in the first video that not the first video, but you decided when I gave you that question that this was the most important thing to you to accomplish in the next 12 months, or it could even take you a bit longer. But if you give up, there's absolutely no chance you have of succeeding. And the reason I called this series the Mindset series, not the Writer's Training, is because I think this has very, very little to do with your writing ability. If you need some help with story structure, you know, read some of my blogs on editing or you know, get a copy of something about the 3-act structure. But what you really need help with is to understand that everyone goes through that, and it's picking yourself up and continuing with not the same vein. You've got to take a fresh eye and approach something differently. Otherwise, you're not going to make any significant and helpful changes to your approach. But you've got to have that perseverance to go, no, this means too much to me. I'm not giving it up. Because so many manuscripts, you know, someone has a rejection and they just never look at it again. And that's just one person's opinion. And the other thing is, you know, like if I'd gotten really sick and thought, okay, well, I just can't work through these memories, I'd never have finished the book. What I did was I started writing the end, and that was something that a writer friend told me to do. He said, this will make you feel better. And the good thing was, and this might help you too, if your messy middle comes in the middle, in the actual second act of writing, if you start writing the end, which is the resolution and, you know, the elixir, you're returning back to the home tribe with your elixir, that's the metaphorical hero's journey, third act, you start to process things differently and see why those obstacles happened in the way that they did, and you feel that sort of energy from reprocessing the story, and you can go back and write that and finish that. So just work on a little bit of the story that actually makes you feel good. If that keeps you going back to it, you know, just don't give up. Don't put it aside for like 6 months, which turns into 12 months, which turns into 18 months. And if you do get a knockback from a publisher, just congratulations, you're in the game. That's how it happens. Give yourself a break and be kind to yourself, but keep going. I really hope this has helped you.